bit later on in our show, but how about we make some serious noise and hear it all the way up and down the line for the Aussie turned American, doing it upside right, Aaron Deleu. 35,000 horsepower.
Today's flight demonstration will consist of the many modes of operation available to the Harrier pilot. The demonstration pilot is Lieutenant Colonel John Cumbie of VMA 223. He's been flying Harrier since 2010 and has over 1,500 hours. At your immediate front, the pilot is positioning his aircraft for a short takeoff. His liftoff technique, speed, and runway required may be as slow as 50 knots ground speed. Takeoff technique is demonstrated along with its other unique characteristics are made possible through the use of removable nozzles located two on each side of the aircraft. Pop attack just demonstrated the unique capabilities of the Harrier. It's commonly used to deploy ordnance on the ground. At your far left, you see the aircraft coming into the traditional low pass. The Harrier is capable of quick accelerations to speeds approaching 600 knots. Ladies and gentlemen, from the right, the high-speed pass. Movable exhaust nozzles can be directed aft for conventional flight, intermediate for short takeoff and short landing, and down for vertical flight. As the pilot approaches, he will execute what is called a brake. During this maneuver, the pilot will decelerate from 500 to 0 knots, utilizing the movable thrust nozzles. The pilot who directs engine bleed air through reaction control nozzles located in the tips, nose, and tail. Maintains control of aircraft during vertical operations. Now let's watch as Lieutenant Colonel Cumbie decelerates his aircraft by selecting the nozzles full down and deliberately overshoots his hover point in order to demonstrate the Harrier's capability to move backwards through the air. The AV-8B is capable of operating from remote sites in close proximity to friendly forces, or on carriers and other smaller ships where only a minimum amount of landing space is available.
Take it to the spot.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our aerial demonstration. On behalf of VMA 223, like I said, it's been our pleasure today to perform for you. It's a bittersweet moment at our last performance at the Cherry Point Air Show. And this performance would have been impossible without the amazing ground and maintenance support that we have at VMA 223. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. A very nice round of applause for the final AV-8B Harrier 2 flight demonstration. And let that extend as well to the narrator of today's display, Captain Reed Cricket Callister of Marine Attack Squadron 223, the Bulldogs. You may have noticed as the pilot engaged all of that power to accelerate out of that hover, you saw a whole lot of black smoke coming out of the exhaust. And what that is, believe it or not, is not so much exhaust, but a little bit of water, distilled water, to believe it or not. And what they do when the engines get hot, they inject this distilled water directly into the system, and it gives a more dense, thicker air, allowing for additional thrust to perform those vertical maneuvers out of the hovering environment. It's a very, very thrilling experience to see on the ground, and much more for the pilot inside. We're going to watch as the Harrier recovers out in front of us in this rolling stool landing, short takeoff or landing. Stool was the descriptor given to the Harrier, and it was the aircraft that, of course, paved the way for some of the newest stool and VTOL aircraft, including the F-35B Lightning II. We'll get a chance to see that a little bit later on today. What a display that was indeed. Very loud and very proud, of course, from our United States Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a very nice round of applause for the Harrier? What a bittersweet moment indeed. And to think that that technology that we're seeing with this aircraft goes all the way back to the late 1950s. 1960 was the first tethered attempt of the original Harrier. It was called the Kestrel, originally a bit of a British design as well, a test bed, and in 1967 being the formal first flight. Pretty amazing stuff indeed. Well, as our air show schedule continues, we've got a lot to bring to you today. And speaking of fast, high-performance military jets, if you're looking to upgrade your air show experience today, we encourage you to stop by and check out the Dream Big FA-18 Hornet cockpit experience. Our buddy Dewey Larson, he's down to air show left in an authentic F-18 Hornet previously flown, believe it or not, by the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. It's painted up in Top Gun colors with Pete Maverick Mitchell on the side. You can take a picture in the aircraft, adorned in authentic flight gear and a flight helmet, and makes for a great take-home memento, or even a great picture for the grave. We'll get a chance to check it out. Also, we want to remind you as well, you get lots of great pictures and videos of today's show. Don't forget to hashtag Cherry Point Air Show on all of your social media posts. Harrier coming down the line from the right, he gives you a big wave to him.